I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're exploring a heartwarming children's tale with a message of friendship, resilience, and nature. It is called Friends Cathedral Adventure. It's written by a terrific author. Her name is Anne Ward Crocker, and she brings to life an unforgettable journey through the iconic Washington National Cathedral. It takes place through the eyes of a toad, a worm, and a Christmas fern. It's an imaginative tour of environmental awareness, architecture, and the power of staying connected. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Brookside Press for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. And thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Happy to have you on the show. This is a beautiful book. It really does a great job of introducing children to the National Cathedral. Is the National Cathedral a place of inspiration for you?
Oh, absolutely. And it's been so all my life. And I'm a very old lady. I don't know whether I'm on camera or not, but I've earned all these wrinkles. So, yes.
Well, you look great. You don't look like an old lady. You don't sound like an old lady. You've got a young spirit, and that's what matters. What I think is interesting about your book is it introduces children to the Festival of Flowers at the National Cathedral. I never knew there was such a thing, and it sounds beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your experience with the Festival of Flowers.
The Festival of Flowers was an annual event held by the All Hallows Guild, the people that are in charge of the close, and that's how Close Friends got into the title. It doesn't necessarily mean it means the cathedral close is the grounds. Anyway, they need money, obviously, to keep it in good shape. And so they invite altar guilds to participate in arranging flowers in the cathedral. And then the outside, it's going to be on May the first weekend in May this year. And it's outside mostly now because they have the merry-go-round and all. It's a festival. But anyway, I won't digress. I won't digress anymore. But we were invited. We were invited to participate. Actually, we were invited 4 times. But they gave us the stairwell, and there was a statue of Abraham Lincoln at the top of it. And we decided we would do wildflowers rather than these exotic gladiolas and carnations and lilies that they do in the most flower arrangements.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it sounds like a great event. I've never been to it. I'll have to go to the Festival of Flowers one year at the National Cathedral because it sounds like a great way to kick off spring. Let me talk to you a little bit about the inspiration for your book. This has been a long time coming, I understand. Tell us a little bit about the book.
In 1979, I'm 95. I will be 95 in July. So I've been around a while. And in 1979, when we were carrying these wildflowers and plants into the cathedral, I realized there was a toad sitting on one of the plants. And I couldn't take him into the cathedral. So I picked him up and put him in the Garth. And that's a small enclosed garden nearby. But there was a lot of concrete. And I knew that was not a good environment for a toad. But on the other side of the cathedral is a beautiful 5-acre woods, and that would have been perfect. So the event happened, but I couldn't get that toad out of my mind. I had to get him into that woods. So I took a class in creative writing and got him out of the town where we got him. Incidentally, the wildflowers were dug up because they were doing a housing development, and the bulldozers would have gotten them if we didn't. So no guilt feelings there. But anyway, he haunted me for years. I got him out of the town. I got him to the cathedral, but I didn't know how to get him into the cathedral and to catch up with his friends. So that I did that about 6, 7 years ago.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, it was a long time coming, but it was worth the wait because you did a great job on this book. What do you hope children learn from this book?
Well, I hope that they learn that the cathedral is a extraordinary place, and but it can be um, interesting for children because there's a children's chapel there that everything is in miniature, and then of course there's the gargoyles, and one of the gargoyles on the outside is of Darth Vader, and everybody's heard of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So that's a great drawing point. And then inside, the space window is a gorgeous window, and has a rock from the moon in the middle. So there's a lot of things going on besides religion in
Yeah.
the place.
Exactly. It was a beautiful monument for children to explore, for families to explore, to know about. People come from all corners of the globe nowadays, and your book will hopefully reach them and let them know about this wonderful monument, this landmark that we have in our nation's capital. Have you always had a great interest in plants and gardening? Tell us a little bit about your.
Oh, absolutely. I've always had a garden, and even in my apartment, I raise flowers and inside and out. And it's and then of course the environment. I've been interested in the environment all my
Yeah.
life, and was a volunteer naturalist for uh, the area where I lived for a while before I retired here. So yes.
Yeah. One of the things that you put in your book that's interesting is that you include a death. Why did you decide to include that? Do you think it's important for children to learn how to deal with that topic? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the animals have to deal with death. They're always worried about being stomped on or
Yeah.
or caught.
Yeah.
But we lost two children early in our marriage, and one to cancer, and one was a stillborn baby. So
Mm.
I learned about death at an early age, and I think that children ought to have a concept of not everything is permanent. So
Yeah,
and
exactly. Unfortunately, it is part of life. So the learning about it, so it's not a total shock when, a great grandparent dies or something like that. I think that's a good idea. Um, Tell me a little bit about your writing career. Is this the first time you've written a book? Are you working on anything else?
No, but I've written things all my life. I compiled a cookbook in 1982
Mm,
because I had hundreds of recipes as a result of writing a recipe column for the local paper. And
mhm.
I included biographies, sketch thumbnail biographies of the cooks. So it was just too good to pay. And I knew it was the passing of an era because in the early 70s and 80s is when women went back to work. No longer were full-time housekeepers the norm.
Yeah.
And the anyway, that book was a lesson, but it sold all the copies. People bought them six at a time for hostess
Wow.
gifts. So now I don't expect that with this book. It's not the type of book you give it for a hostess present, but it could be, I suppose.
But it's a
But
great birthday present. It's a great holiday present, a Christmas present, to a family, to a child. I think these would be great gifts, no doubt, these books that you've written on the National Cathedral. So you wrote a cookbook. What was your favorite recipe in that cookbook? Make me hungry this morning. Tell me what your favorite thing to make is or was.
I think it's well, I can't, there's so many of them. I guess Maryland crab cakes.
Wow, that sounds good.
Because I'm from Maryland,
Yep.
and that's a local favorite. And deviled crabs, crab imperial. Are you
Yep.
familiar with that? Yeah.
Crab's Imperial. No, I've never heard of that.
Well, mother called them deviled crabs, but it's basically a crab cake that's not a sandwich, and it's
Okay.
served in the actual crab. It used to be. Now,
Mm.
nowadays, I doubt if they would allow it, but because I have glass ramekins now. But when I was growing up, we used the real crab shells and then stuffed them high with this mixture of crab meat and seasonings.
Well, that sounds great. My daughter went to the University of Maryland, so I used to go to Annapolis all the time and get some delicious crab cakes and seafood. And it's really a beautiful state, Maryland, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I went to University of Maryland too.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Okay.
51, 50,
Okay.
class of 51, and never looked back.
Yeah.
But
Amazing.
yeah, okay.
A lot of changes in College Park since you went there back in
Oh my,
1951.
indeed, indeed. A lot of changes everywhere, everywhere.
Exactly. Exactly. Did you work? Did you have a career? Or was it being a mom?
Well, yes
Yeah.
and no. I majored in dietetics and foods, and
Mhm.
Marriott hired me right out of college. I never did look for, I've never looked for a job, but jobs keep finding me. But uh, I worked for them for 5 years and then went with the Washington Gas Company as a home service representative. And that's where we did cookbooks and we gave cooking lessons. And I've actually been on TV before there were TV kitchens, as we
Great.
were set up in a hotel, the Shoreham Hotel, and broadcast from there. And I can remember making shepherd's pie on TV when I.
Yeah, there you go. That's one of my favorites, shepherd's pie. I like all traditional Irish dishes. And my mom used to make great chicken and dumplings. I don't even know how she made the dumplings, but the dumplings were about the size of a baby's brain. They were huge
Oh
and
my goodness.
delicious, and they were good. But that's great. That's great. So cooking was part of your career, and I knew you had been on television before because you're doing so well today, talking with me.
Well,
So,
yes, I've done it. And then we have meetings here. Since COVID, meetings have had to be by Zoom. So
okay.
that's how I've been on Zoom for several years. And
Oh,
then I did another one for the book on Skype. I wasn't familiar with Skype, but
right.
it's about the same.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Wonderful.
yes, I don't have any trouble
Wonderful.
talking.
Now, what brought you from Maryland to Virginia?
Um, Well, when we were married, we could afford an apartment in Virginia easier than we could in Maryland. And my husband and I both commuted to work. So we lived right across the river in Arlington County um, and never looked back. And then we moved to Herndon in the mid 50s when it was less than 1,000 people. It was a tiny village.
Wow.
And that was before Dulles Airport. And we didn't. It was soon thereafter, a few years after, they started building the airport, and of course that changed everything.
Yeah.
And that's how. But we always lived in Herndon, and the children graduated from Herndon High School and went to college or married, and so yes, it was
Yeah.
very, very pleasant. I've been very fortunate, other than those two deaths, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you've seen little towns turn into big towns. You've seen a lot over your 95 years. What do you think the greatest thing you've seen in 95 years is? I know that's a big question, but I was wondering if you ever contemplate it.
Oh,
But
yes.
what,
And it's the worst thing is what's happening to this earth. It's what
Mhm.
mankind is doing to this earth. And that's another reason why I put some effort into this book because it, it's it's criminal. And we're just destroying it.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think that's a great observation. I think that's important about your work as well because it reinforces children to know about the importance of nature and the environment and the ecology and all of that. So that's the worst thing you've seen, the destruction of our planet by our own hands. What's the best thing you've seen?
um,
I mean, you've seen,
there are so many. Well, nature. The best thing I've seen is I guess the beauty of nature,
yeah,
uh, and of course friendship. I
yeah,
point that out. Friendship is very important,
yeah,
and we see it here in this institution where I live. which is very pleasant. I won't,
Yeah, it looks like a
but
beautiful environment.
it's social, being social and having friends is very, very important for
Yeah.
your mental health.
Sure, the human connection is vital, no doubt. Connection to our planet, to our environment, to nature, enjoying every sunrise, every sunset, the snowfall, the beautiful spring days, the first flowers of spring. Those are priceless, no doubt. And I think you've got a lot more sunrises and sunsets still to come because you are
Well, thank
going
you.
strong, without a
Thank you.
doubt. And I think you got another book in you too. So think
No,
about
well,
what you want to write about.
no, I want to go back. I had a life before this book. I do art. I do
Okay.
art, and I want to get back to art.
Okay, that sounds great. All right. Well, we look forward to seeing some of your artwork one day. This book, folks, is wonderful. It's called Close Friends Cathedral Adventure. It is written by Anne Ward Crocker. She brings to life an unforgettable journey through the iconic Washington National Cathedral, through the eyes of a toad, a worm, and a Christmas fern. It is an imaginative tour of architecture, environmental awareness, and the power of staying connected. And thanks so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure's been all mine. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.